Okay, good morning. Welcome to today's Finance Committee meeting. I'm Councilmember Justin Brannon. I'm privileged to chair the Finance Committee. We are joined today by Speaker Adams, Council Members Hanks, Osei, Farias, Lewis, Barron, Hudson, Brewer, Brooks Powers, Carr, Kagan, and Ayala. Today the committee will be voting on two items. An Article 11 property tax exemption and one bid-related resolution. In addition, we'll be holding a public hearing on introduction 47 and 73 to authorize the establishment of the Castle Hill and the West Village Business Improvement Districts, respectively. So let's start with the land use item, which is the Southern and Willis project in Councilmember Ayala's district in Manhattan. The properties will receive a full 40-year property tax exemption to preserve 76 units of affordable housing. Councilmember Ayala is supportive of the project. In the Bronx, sorry. Oh my God. You'll never forgive me for that. Next, we have the bid resolution. It sets forth April 7th, 2022 at 10 a.m. in this committee room as the date, time, and place to hold a public hearing to consider the local law that would increase the amount to be expended annually in the Sutphin Boulevard Business Improvement District, extend the boundaries of the bid, change the method of district charge assessment, increase the maximum total amount to be expended for improvements, and it would dissolve the boundaries of the existing 165th Street and Jamaica Center special assessment districts. The existing bid and the proposed expanded boundaries are located in Councilmember Williams and Gennaro's district in Queens and runs adjacent to Speaker Adams' district as well. All council members, including the Speaker, are supportive of the amended district plan. Speaker Adams, you want to give some remarks? Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. Just once again to show my full support for the Sutphin bid integration. It's been a long time coming. As past chair of the Jamaica Now project, this is something that we've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. Funds and movement around the Jamaica core have started years ago, but of course the pandemic did slow everything down. This consolidation of the bid between conceivably 3 different districts in Southeast Queens is going to make a substantial difference to the merchants, to the look, to the businesses in the downtown Jamaica core, and I fully support this and encourage my colleagues to support it as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Speaker. And lastly, the committee today will be holding a public hearing on introduction numbers 47 and 73, which would authorize the establishment of the Castle Hill and the West Village Business Improvement Districts, respectively. Additional information regarding the bid establishments can be found in the committee reports prepared by the Council's Finance Division and reports prepared by the City Planning Commission. Council members Farias and Botcher are supportive of the bid items in their respective districts. So today we'll hear from any witnesses who wish to testify. Once we've heard any testimony, we'll then adjourn the hearing for at least 30 days to allow any property owner within the proposed area of the bid to file an objection to the bid's establishment with the city clerk. In the absence of any objections filed, either by a majority of all the impacted property owners or by property owners owning a majority of the assessed value of the property within the proposed bids, the committee and the full council may adopt the legislation establishing the bids. In order to do so, the committee and the full council must be prepared to answer the following 4 questions in the affirmative for each bid. 1. Were all notices of hearing for all hearings required to be held published and mailed as so required? 2. Does all the real property within the district's boundaries benefit from the establishment or the expansion of the district except as otherwise provided by the law? 3. Is all real property benefited by the district included within the district? And lastly, is the establishment or expansion of the district in the best interest of the public? If the committee and the full council find in the affirmative on these 4 questions, the number of objections required to prevent the establishment of the bids are not filed, then the legislation can be adopted. For further details on the Castle Hill and the West Village bids, please refer to the committee reports, the City Planning Commission reports, and the proposed district plans. Before we proceed with testimony on the proposed bid establishments, I need to acknowledge on the record that the council had recently become aware of a drafting clerical error in an exhibit to the district plan for the West Village bid submitted by the Department of Small Business Services, or SBS. This clerical error miscategorizes some of the blocks and lots included within the bid boundaries and the assessment method that would apply. Because this clerical error is inconsistent with the rest of the plan, council staff do not expect that any of the plan supporters knew of or relied upon such information. I understand that SBS is prepared to address this error with a revised exhibit, and that they will send notice of the update to affected property owners so that there can be no confusion when we reconvene in May to vote on the establishment of the proposed bid. So we'll now hear testimony from SBS on the Castle Hill and the West Village bids, and we are joined today. Okay, and we're joined today by the Deputy Commissioner for the Neighborhood Development, Michael Blas-Backer, and the Director for the New York City Business Improvement District Program, Roxanne Early. Before SBS begins, I'm going to turn it over to my committee counsel to swear in the witnesses.
Good morning, Mr. Becker and Ms. Early. Do you affirm that the testimony you will give to us today is truthful to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed when ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Brandon, members of the Finance Committee, Speaker Adams. I am Michael Blas-Backer, Deputy Commissioner of Neighborhood Development at the Department of Small Business Services. I'm joined by our bid program director, Roxanne Early, and we are here to testify in support of the proposed Castle Hill Business Improvement District. Throughout the pandemic and recovery, SBS has been a key provider of programs, services, and critical information to small businesses and commercial corridors alike. Most recently, my team has focused on improving interagency coordination to address public safety and quality of life challenges and ensuring a strong economic recovery for our commercial districts. We believe that these efforts are central to supporting bids, who are valuable and proven partners in fostering the vitality of the city's neighborhoods and commercial districts. In addition to our role overseeing and supporting the city's existing network of 76 bids, SBS also supervises the bid formation and expansion process, serving as an advisor and resource for communities interested in developing or expanding bids. We work closely with each steering committee to follow a transparent process that solicits community input and can demonstrate broad-based support through comprehensive outreach. Moreover, we are cognizant of the unique nature of each community we assist and empower local stakeholders to make determinations on the proposed services, the boundaries, budget size, and the formula that distributes the assessment in an equitable manner. When working with any bid formation effort, we recognize that the power and effectiveness of bids rests in their unmatched understanding of local needs and issues. Beginning in January 2017, the Castle Hill formation effort involved numerous meetings and consultations with local stakeholders throughout the planning and outreach phases. After an extensive outreach effort and close coordination with all key parties, SBS determined that the documented support among all stakeholder groups, including over 50% of the area's total assessed value, was sufficient to submit their application to City Council. In light of COVID, SBS requested the Castle Hill Steering Committee conduct additional outreach above and beyond the traditional requirements. Specifically, we requested that the committee send notifications to all stakeholders in the district and provide an opportunity to give feedback or withdraw support due to any impacts from the pandemic. Before beginning the formal legislative process, Castle Hill conducted additional mailings and outreach in the areas and were able to confirm continued majority support for these formations. No stakeholders withdrew their support for this formation. As required by law, the Castle Hill Steering Committee mailed the summary of the City Council resolution no less than 10 days and no more than 30 days before today's hearing to property owners and tenants of the proposed district. Furthermore, SBS arranged for the publication of a copy of the summary of the resolution at least once in the city record. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Councilmember Authorize for her support of the Castle Hill bid formation effort. Lastly, I'd like to acknowledge that representatives of the bid formation effort are here present today to testify and address any specific questions that I am unable to answer. At this time, happy to take any questions.
Any members have questions? Okay, thank you.
Did you want us to do West Village now or wait for the later?
Why don't we bring up the Castle Hill representatives and then you can return? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll now hear from the chair of the West Village Steering Committee. Oh, we're going to do Castle Hill now. Okay. We're going to hear from the chair of the Castle Hill Steering Committee. So Yasmin Cruz on behalf of Tony De La Rosa and Steering Committee member William Rivera. Thank you.
We don't need to swear you in, so you can begin when ready.
Oh, you can begin when you're ready. We don't have to swear you in. Thank you.
I'm representing Anthony DeRosa, property and business owner in the Castle Hill. He is also a member of the Castle Hill Bid Avenue Steering Committee. I have been a commercial property owner since 1983, in addition to being a business owner on Castle Hill Avenue. Castle Hill Avenue has always been a diverse working-class community, a neighborhood proud of its position in the Bronx. For as long as I can remember, Castle Hill Avenue has been a part of my life. The avenue was always busy with shoppers, the streets were well kept and clean, and there was a variety of desired businesses, each complementing the others. There was shopping at any time and no fear of walking the avenue. Today, there are many vacant storefronts. Popular Bank has closed, and the large retail Rainbow Shop will be closing its doors soon. I know Castle Hill Avenue can once again be a more engaging area of shopping and activity. I have seen the success that our neighboring merchants at Westchester Square and Morris Park have had in their bid, and I believe that the bid formation for Castle Hill Avenue would be a great asset in improving the overall shopping district and the community. The needs of the shopping district are substantial, most importantly, immediately getting the streets and sidewalks cleaned. The garbage is a huge problem. The trash and dumping along the commercial corridors has become overwhelming. The program will clean street sidewalks and graffiti-free walls, snow removal and crosswalks, and at bus shelters. Also, the addition of flower and plant beds, along with additional enhanced pedestrian trash recycles, would have an immediate impact. Services would include marketing and promoting the commercial corridor, events to promote foot traffic, social media, and internet tools for the merchants. Improved street lighting will increase security to help create a safer shopping environment. Wi-Fi hotspots, emergency street telephones, closed-circuit surveillance may be considered, especially during the holiday shopping period, to improve pedestrian circulation. Merchants and property owners need support navigating the numerous New York City and New York State laws and requirements. With an advocate in place, merchants and property owners will have direct access to assistance and guidance for loans, grants, and storefront improvement programs. There has been an overwhelming support from the local community since the steering committee was formed in 2017, meeting monthly and working diligently over the past 4 years to achieve our goal of the Castle Hill bid. We would like to thank everyone for their time and consideration in support of the Castle Hill bid, as we firmly support and believe that with the formation of this bid, Castle Hill Avenue will develop into a cleaner, safer, and prosperous area for all involved. Thank you again.
Thank you. Any of my members have questions? Good. Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Rivera, do you want to speak? You could speak as well if you'd like.
Thank you,
Of course, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members. Member of the committee, this committee established in 2017. I was the chairman of the community board. Thank you. When this started now, the district manager, community board 9. I just want to thank SBS and the steering committee for all the great done work, gathering support, our support from elected officials, our current council member. We thank you for your support. And this is something that's extremely needed in our district. We have the largest district by population in the Bronx. We have currently no bid in our community board. This will be the first bid, and we're excited. I've seen the work they've done at Westchester Square bid, Morris Park, and 3rd Avenue, and this is something that's really needed. Looking forward to working with our future bid in hand with sanitation, policing issues, security, et cetera. This is something that's extremely needed. Our community board supports it. Our land and zoning economic development committee supports it, and hopefully we have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for all your work on the steering committee putting this together. I want to acknowledge we've been joined by council members Moya and Powers. And we're going to call back up Deputy Commissioner Blaise Backer and the Business Improvement District Program Director, Roxanne Early, again to speak about the West Village bid. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Good morning again, Chair Brandon, members of the Finance Committee. I'm still Michael Blaisbacker, Deputy Commissioner of Neighborhood Development. I'm joined by Roxanne Early, Director of the Bid Program. And for brevity, I have omitted some sections from my oral testimony, which are redundant to my previous testimony for Castle Hill. The West Village formation effort began in 2018 and involved numerous meetings and consultations with local stakeholders throughout the planning and outreach phases. After an extensive outreach effort in close coordination with all key parties, SBS determined that the documented support among all stakeholder groups, including 50% of the area's commercial assessed value providing written support in favor, was sufficient to submit the application to City Council. A majority of the outreach phase for this project was conducted during the pandemic, with roughly half of all property ownership support confirmed after March of 2020. Before beginning the formal legislative process, West Village conducted additional mailings and outreach to residential and commercial tenants and were able to confirm continued support for the effort from early respondents, as well as additional support from previously unresponsive stakeholders who saw the value the bid would bring to the district despite the impacts of the pandemic. Finally, as part of the City Planning Commission review process, the bid has also secured approval from Manhattan Community Board 2. As required by law, the West Village Steering Committee mailed a summary of the City Council resolution no less than 10 days and no more than 30 days before today's hearing to property owners and tenants of the proposed district. Furthermore, SBS arranged for the publication of a copy of the summary of the resolution at least once in the city record. As Chair Brandon alluded to earlier, SBS has been made aware of a clerical error in Exhibit C of the West Village District Plan, whereby the list of benefited properties have been incorrectly classified. I've included a copy of the correct benefited property list with my testimony today, and furthermore, SBS will file an amendment to the district plan on file with the city clerk and renotice these changes in the city record. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Councilmember Eric Botcher for his ongoing support of the West Village bid formation effort. Lastly, I'd like to acknowledge the representatives of the bid formation effort are present here today to testify and address any specific questions I am unable to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members? I just want to acknowledge we've been joined by Council Member Velasquez, and Council Member Brewer has a question.
Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of support. I think the Soho bid is the only one that has not a majority, but several residents. How is it going to work in terms of residents on your bid?
I certainly think the steering committee could address some of the specifics, but it's worth noting, so about 15 bids of our 76 actually have an explicit residential assessment. So I know it's...
I only know Manhattan.
Sorry?
It's a joke. I only know Manhattan.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. A lot of them are in Manhattan. I mean, obviously they are some of the early bids. But it's also worth noting that, and then also several bids, of course, incorporate assessed value in their formula, so also have a residential assessment. So in this case, you know, as you are well aware, certainly by law, the bid law requires one residential tenant. But because property owners must be in the majority on a bid board, those property owners can be commercial property owners or residential property owners. So it really would take place, you know, during the annual meeting each year when they nominate a slate to participate on the board. That slate those property owners can be residential or commercial, and so it really would be up to the board to make that determination.
So it wasn't an issue as it was at Soho. It didn't become an issue. Okay, Soho,
not that I'm aware of. Exactly. I think in this case, as the steering committee can attest to, that residents were, if anything, spearheaded this effort early on and have been very involved throughout.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Sure.
Chair.
Are there other questions? Okay. SBS, thank you so much. Okay, so now we'll hear from the chair of the West Village Steering Committee, Brooke Schooley. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And Steering Committee member Susanna Aaron. And you can begin when you're ready.
I'm Brooke Schooley. Is this on? There we go. I'm Brooke Schooley, a West Village property owner and chair of the West Village Bid Steering Committee. In 2014, I founded the 7th Avenue South Alliance, a nonprofit that provided clean and green services to the neighborhood through 2020. In 2017, our board identified a bid as a more sustainable way to provide supplemental services. We formed a bid steering committee and began surveying businesses and residents in person, online, and by mail about the needs of the community. The mission of this bid is to support a culturally rich, commercially vibrant community reflecting the West Village's history and character. This is a very mixed-use, popular destination neighborhood with primarily ground floor commercial space, a heavy concentration of restaurants and bars, and sanitation needs exceed the basic services provided by the city. Accordingly, the majority of the bid's nearly $600,000 budget will go to clean and green services. The goal of this small bid is not to further commercialize the village, and our limited budget, mission, and planned services are certainly reflective of that. This is a lean, clean, green bid. The median commercial property owner will pay just over $100 on a monthly basis, and that modest assessment has made this very appealing to our small businesses. Residential owners will pay a flat $100 per year per tax lot. That is going to cover about 10% of the bid budget. And we felt it was really important that residents contribute financially. We are, like I said, a truly mixed-use district where residents will benefit from these services, and by resolution of the community board, they will enjoy outsized board representation at the bid. We've completed significant community outreach, including extensive work to call or email every property owner. We reached almost 90% of the commercial property owners, most of whom are small enterprises or individuals. We have a very fragmented holding in the village, and make in-person visits to businesses. Additionally, we've sent 3 mailings to all property owners and tenants, and extra mailings to owners unreachable by phone or email, distributed flyers, held 2 public meetings, received coverage from the Village Sun as recently as last month, posted information on Nextdoor and Bleecker Street Beat, sent nearly 40 emails to our distribution of over 1,000 stakeholders, and had local block associations spread the word via newsletter and sidewalk display boxes. We also participated in a public information session hosted by CB2, in addition to last year's 2 official public CB2 hearings. As Blaise said, we have signed statements of support from property owners representing the majority of the commercial assessed value, over 60 residential property owners, and over 100 mostly small businesses and residential tenants. Those few owners and tenants opposing the bid in writing comprise less than 1% of assessed value, and no one has spoken in opposition at any public forum. CB2 supported the bid almost unanimously, with only 1 member opposing. We have letters of support from the block associations representing Grove, Barrow, Bedford, Carmine, Commerce, and Downing Streets, as well as 7th Avenue South. And I want to say that Kathy Donaldson, the longtime president of the largest block association in the bid, is here today in support. We also have letters of support from State Senator Hoylman, State Representative Glick, and our council member Botcher. We hope that you will allow us to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members? Majority Powers.
Thank you. And just, you know, of course, not being fully versed in the demographics of that community, was the information that has been disseminated shared in other language outside of English? And if so, which languages?
No communications were made outside of English.
Do you know if in the community there, if there is a population that speaks other languages outside of English as their primary language?
I did not encounter that in my outreach certainly to property owners. And like I said, we did reach almost 90% of them. When we went to small businesses, or went to all the businesses, we were able to speak in person in English, if not the first time, the second time, you know, finding the owner or someone there. So no, we have not seen that to be an issue.
Thank you. I only asked because I know that there have been times where there have been big projects and the assumption has been that the merchants are in support, but when you go back to them, you find that English is not necessarily their first language and they haven't fully taken in what's being asked of them. So I just wanted to ask that just from personal experience. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Gail?
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Susanna Aaron. Thank you guys for this opportunity to speak. I'm a lifelong Greenwich Village resident and a current property owner. I've served on Community Board 2 for almost 10 years, where I currently chair the Human Services Committee. I've been involved with my community in many ways, at various times working with village shop owners to bring the history of the Stonewall Rebellion to Christopher Street, introducing city officials to some of our legacy businesses, and representing my community board on plans to turn Christopher Street Park into the nation's first LGBT national monument. I also serve on the steering committee for the West Village bid, and the reason I joined this effort is because one of the cornerstones of its mission is to preserve neighborhood character. It will bring needed beautification and enhanced sanitation to this area that welcomes so many visitors from throughout our city and our nation and the world, but it will not do this at the expense of the local value that we all hold dear. Greenwich Village, as you know, was the model for Jane Jacobs's transformational views on urban planning. Its mix of uses and architecture and people, its vibrant street life, these qualities endure in the village despite the great change the neighborhood has undergone in the 60 years that I have lived here. Its history is still a very precious part of who we are. I think that this bid will, if anything, offer opportunities to enhance that history for new generations. The role played by residential property owners, the fact that they too will be assessed, ensures that the people who live here every day are going to have a strong voice in the bid's activities. I urge you to support the very good work that the committee has done, and thank you so much for considering this initiative.
Thank you, Susanna and Brooke, for all your hard work. Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll include the SBS's updated exhibit of the benefited properties on the record. And if there are no other questions, I'm going to ask Billy Martin, the committee clerk, to call the roll.
Good morning, William Martin, committee clerk. Roll call vote, Committee on Finance. On resolution and land use items are coupled. Chair Brannan.
Aye.
Ayala. Moya.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Lewis. Aye. Brooks Powers.
Aye.
Barron.
Aye.
Brewer.
Aye.
Farias. Hanks.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye.
Kagan.
Aye.
Osei.
Aye.
Velasquez. Carr.
Aye.
By a vote of 15 in the affirmative is 0 in the negative and no abstentions, both items have been adopted by the committee.
Thank you. With that, this hearing is adjourned.